early season, mid-season, late season. And I see the early season challenges really being centered around what's going to happen with the if we have increased rainfall in the spring, are conditions like 2013 going to become more prevalent, where we have extreme wet weather in the spring, difficult time planning, decreasing number of workable field days, things that offer a challenge to us of not only getting the crop in, but, excess water, on young plants is a stress to them. And you can end up with a lot more seedling disease. You end up with poor growth, poor root extension, at that time of the year. I mean, so we hammer that plant, with that type of condition. Plus, when we start going into fields wet and doing a lot of our field operations is where we end up with compaction, a number of things that cause some soil problems from that perspective. So, I think that area of the season, I'm not worried so much about flipping over to the other side and say, well, we have a lot of dry springs and things like that. I just don't think that is as high on our probability as the increase in number of wet springs. And so I think that's going to be a challenge piece for us, Tim.
And then maybe you said mid-season was
mid-season. I think what we'll see in challenges for us, and we've seen a little bit of this already emerge in the patterns, is that we're having less frequent rainfall. So we'd really like a rain, and it doesn't rain. So we'll end up with some water stress at that time. I think that's going to be a major piece for us. Plus, the other thing, if we look long term, that's out there, is this potential for increased high temperature events. Where we end up with days that are 100 plus, that 95 to 100 plus range. And if those are coupled with, water stress, then we really put the plant under a stress in terms of growth and things like this. So, I think those become our mid-season challenges that will really have an impact on yields. Late season challenges, I don't think they're going. It's going to be a rare occurrence that we probably have a wet fall. I think one of the late season challenges for us will be getting that crop out, and we may dry down very quickly in the fall. A number of things, that's not a bad thing. We don't have to spend the money in propane, I think that we're going to trend towards wet, variability during mid-season and drier falls that will, won't bother us in harvest season. It might bother us a little bit in terms of how we manage this crop residue at the end of the season and some of the harvest issues. If we're real dry, like we were a couple years ago, where the corn and beans just get so powdery dry that we end up with, shattering in the field or plants not standing, and we end up with a wind event or something like that, we could end up with a lot of lodging just because they are so brittle. I see that as a challenge. But the standability of our crops, is pretty good now from that standpoint. And so I see that as just something to be aware of that's out there. The other one that we've talked about in late season challenges, if guys want to put cover crops in, of having the soil moisture to get that crop established and growing in the fall if we have dry falls all the time.